Welcome to Building Forward, a podcast about creation, developer experience, community, and meetups. My name is Christina Martinez, and I'm a developer experience engineer at Resend, and I'm joined by Chris Pennington, the other half of the developer experience team. This year, we're building Resend Forward, which is our very first tech conference, and we want to take this opportunity to learn and build together in public, to build the best in-person experiences. Today, we're joined by Rebecca Bakels, who is the organizer of React Miami and just a generally wonderful human being, and we're super grateful to have her.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you here. I already heard your praises sung by Christina because she met you in New York, and then we decided to sponsor React Miami, and I got to see both you and your sister kind of do your thing in person, and it was such a special event. But yeah, I'd love to have you just intro like kind of who you are and your background, and we're super excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. You guys are amazing. I love Resend. There's your little plug, but I truly love Resend. We switched to Resend in 2 weeks out from the conference because our old email system wasn't working. I did not plan this plug, I promise you. I just actually genuinely love your product. I'm Rebecca Bakels. I organize community-driven tech conferences, primarily in Miami, but looking to expand. That's a little secret. I have a background in software engineering. I was a software engineer for about 4 years before I moved to G2I and became the director of technical programming. With my sister, I got to learn a lot from her, the original organizer and founder of React Miami.
Yeah, you've been involved in React Miami over time. It wasn't this is your first year being involved. Can you tell us a little bit of what the involvement has been like over time and how you got involved?
Have been involved in React Miami since it started. Michelle and I go way back. So when Gabe Greenberg, the founder and CEO of G2I, he tweeted, we should have a React conference in Miami. And Michelle replied and she said, I was just thinking about this. And the two of them got together. And Gabe was like, I wasn't thinking I would do it. I was thinking somebody should do it. And they partnered on React Miami. And I was a part of that when that was happening. Obviously, Michelle tells me everything. So she was really, really, really excited about it. At the time, I was in my coding boot camp, and she was the one teaching me how to code. So at the time, she didn't work for Gabe yet. And this was just a serendipitous, tweet connection that ended up happening. So she was super excited about it. As her sister, I'm involved in everything she does, whether she likes it or not. So throughout the years, I've been helping a secret partner, I guess, behind the scenes when she needs to know if something's going to be cool or if she should go with this food or that food or whatever it could be. And then, of course, helping out every year, executing the conference with her, doing setup, doing breakdown, helping her stay organized, whatever she needs. And I never thought it would actually lead to this. I just did it because I love community. At my previous job, I ran a full calendar year of 50 different community events in South Florida. So this was just a natural progression. And when G2I took on AI Engineer Miami, Gabe was the one who was like, we need another Michelle Bakels. And then he was like, well, actually, we could have another Michelle Bakels. Is your sister interested in working for us? And obviously I jumped at that. That was a dream offer. So that's how I became officially involved in React Miami last year, co-organizing the conferences with Michelle. And then she dipped on me, bummed out.
Man.
As a girl dad, I'm just happy to know that there's a stage that they move to where they're not just enemies, you can become friends later. So we go into this hate each other, love each other, and sometimes in the same minute. So all back and forth every day.
Yeah, Michelle and I hated each other for most of our lives. We only became friends actually when I was getting into tech, and she was my inspiration. I don't know how many people know this, but she was actually an art director. She had an art degree she studied in Italy, and then it just wasn't paying what she needed, and she wasn't extremely happy with the job. And she was like, what's this computer science stuff about? And she went back to college and got a CS degree. And that's how she became a software engineer at a Fortune 200 company. And that sort of stuff, I saw that And I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. How hard could it really be? But jokes aside, like very, very, very inspiring. So I'm very appreciative to her and everything.
This is turning into Bakel's sister
Oh yeah,
praise
sorry.
off, and I love
it's
it.
actually about Michelle.
This is amazing. Plot twist. Yeah, React Miami, like I think one of the cool things about it is I've been to several conferences at this point, you know, being in like DevRel space, but like what I was told ahead of time and then what proved to be true was that a lot of it is for like the vibes. Like React Miami is known for that. Like the hallway track is really fun. The space that you've created, like for such a technical conference, and it is like it's a conference with substance. It has a lot of fun associated with it, and like people really enjoy it, and that vibe really carries through the conference and even post conference into the way people talk about it. I'm curious, like how you went about thinking about that. How have you created that kind of a space at a conference that's so technical?
I'll start by mentioning a couple of books that I think everybody should read. When I joined G2I, this was required reading. The first one is The Art of Gathering, and the second one is Unreasonable Hospitality. So these books shape how React Miami and every event and conference that we plan is executed, and it's by intention first. So what do we want people to feel after the conference? What do we want them to get out of the conference? The obvious things are, you know, great talks, great speakers, but the human connection is the most important part. We want people to walk away with their new best friend next to them. We want them to find jobs, have connections, have genuine conversations with people. And so a lot of those vibes and that intention setting starts 6 months out from the conference. Everything we post, every picture we post, it's of our people, it's of our attendees. We're retweeting everybody. There's no barrier to entry with React Miami. You don't feel like intimidated or the room is elitist or you have to be a person that you aren't. It's one of the only areas like where you have a conversation about yourself before your job, your title, and why anybody should even talk to you. That's unimportant. Like the room is level, I feel. Like you could be talking to literally the creator of React next to you and not know it until you guys have already had an amazing conversation about WWE. Like, because that's really the real stuff that we actually care about. So we focus on attendees heavily. They are our guiding light. They're our heroes of our conference. So sharing their stories, figuring out what they want, what they got out of it. We post a lot of photos of them, thanking them, understanding that they're choosing going to a conference over a family vacation maybe, or going to wherever, whatever. Like they choose to be with us. So we want to create an extremely memorable experience for them. So we don't cut corners with any moment of the conference, even down to the escalators to our conference and the signage that's everywhere and how comfortable the couches are. So we do it all for them. And I think if you set that tone, I play hockey. So if you set the tone right away before they even show up, man, like that social anxiety, it goes away. Like it goes away so much faster. And I think that's what really is so special and why people get so much out of it. And yeah, a lot of it goes into the planning and execution beforehand.
Yeah, can you give us other examples of kind of things that you designed that maybe attendees don't even notice, like whether the couches are comfortable or not, but you spend a lot of time like obsessing over and really putting a lot of time into?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was funny because my friend Keegan, he did like a little vlog at the conference and he was there while we were setting up. And I was like, yeah, Keegan, even the color of the lights that are shown on the curtains has to be a specific color, pink. The couches, the setup, the flow. It's like UI, UX in person, really. So, yeah, you're thinking about the user journey through your conference, through the different rooms, what they see, exactly like what your eyes fall on first, how people interact with the space. So every area where they would need comfort, there's comfort. And also like making sure on the other hand, that our sponsors are happy and the signage and everything is beautiful, but not overwhelming where it feels like too much. We are lucky enough to work with like Basement Studio for the last few years, designing our signage, and that I think makes a huge difference too, is like investing in proper designers to help with those things. Every single thing that your eyes lay on needs to be consistent throughout the conference, I feel. So that, and from the conference to the after party, to the opening party, to the community events, everything feels like one journey, like together.
Yeah, and those are great examples. And I don't know, I think about maintaining that level of energy and hype and the good vibes for, 2 days plus like all the parties and things, and that's kind of exhausting. And so it's tempting for people to just get, the vibe to just taper out, or people get tired or something. So I'm wondering how you guys maintain that. Like, how do you plan out days so that people get breaks when they need it? How do you give them like a jolt of energy when it's time to bring that energy back up?
All day coffee, bottomless coffee.
There we go, that helps.
It's a must.
We didn't have it one year and realized how quickly that was a mistake. The flow of the conference, it's very different from other conferences that I've seen. We do take a lot of breaks and we take long breaks. We try to imagine, like, put ourselves in the shoes of the attendee and the speaker and understand, like, okay, you're watching 3 talks that are about 20 minutes back to back to back. Okay, that's like an hour of just sitting there, and you're trying to take in all of this incredible, like, technical, deep information. So your brain gets tired. You're in a dark room. You're staring at a stage. This is very natural. This is just like how our bodies work. So every 3 talks, we take a 40-minute break. And it's not 20, it's not 30. It's longer than you expect to have a break, because the conversations in the hallway track, we call it, those are just as important as the speakers and the talks on stage. We want to give people a chance to have conversations, real conversations. And a real conversation, I feel like you just start getting into it at 20 minutes. So then 20 minutes, oh man, okay, we gotta go back, like, and then they're just exhausted. We also make our lunch break like an hour and 15 minutes or 30 minutes, like pretty extra long lunch break, because we know people want to go explore Miami. They want to have fun with their friends. They want to have some experiences while they're there. So very intentionally creating that flow where they never lose momentum completely. They're never totally exhausted. They're never wanting to go back to their room and take a break because they need to take a nap after being in the speaker's room for 2 hours straight. Actually, next year we're doing something a little bit special. The way that our conference flows is we have the opening party the day before. We have doors open at 8 a.m. Keynote, like the starts at 9 a.m. And then that evening we do community events. So next year we'll have 5 or 6 community events happening all at the same time throughout Miami. And that's really exhausting, like already opening party all day, the conference, community events. The next morning you're tired. Maybe you're like a little hungover. It's Miami. We're not going to pretend like you're exhausted. So we realized after last year that a lot of the morning speakers weren't getting as much attendance, and we didn't have as many attendees showing up before like 10:30, 11 a.m. So we're planning to do a recovery morning breakfast and physical activities like yoga, maybe massage chairs, a 5K run, a big breakfast style, like pancakes, eggs, bacon, like heavy breakfast. Because we see that that's what our attendees want, and they were lulling out on the day 2 like mornings. There are no rules in conference planning. You can do whatever the heck you want. So Michelle was like, we should just do like a whole reset recovery morning, get everybody's energy back up. We record all the talks, we put them on YouTube, and speakers get a lot of recognition there too. We want to make sure we're fair to everybody, and we're creating an amazing experience for the attendees and the speakers. And it just made sense to, okay, let's take out 2 talks in the morning and give everybody a chance to have more human connection, get their energy back up, and have a great big breakfast. Then we'll get back into talks, and then we'll go to the after party, and it'll be awesome. So you just listening and hearing and seeing what's happening and comprehending it and then iterating on it and knowing that there's absolutely no rules. It's all about the attendee and how they feel. Change things up. Do whatever makes the most sense.
You guys did like some really fun stuff too that helped with the energy. Like the ending session with Super Smash Brothers, like live coded, like honestly, best single session I've ever been to. People, devs are chanting and cheering for their teams, and like that. That I think just shows how much you understand the people who are there, how much you're listening. What a genius way to end this whole thing. And it kind of carried the energy out of the conference even. And you had a couple times like that where you had almost more like humor infused sessions that kind of, helped people pick that energy back up, which I really appreciated and liked. And I could tell there was a lot of intentionality behind that.
Yeah, definitely something that I learned that, Michelle is a mastermind in all of this. Is day one, last talk of the day was Ken Wheeler. So you're just laughing, you're having a good time. He's a great personality. Everybody wants to see him. So people stick around to the end of the conference day, and it gets their energy back up. So you nailed it. That's exactly why we do that. And we're extremely lucky to have the terminal team as supporters of React Miami. Dax in Prime, but Dax being in Miami, he loves our conference. He's always been a fan. Maybe this was just a long play for him to steal Michelle, but I guess I'm okay with it.
I'm curious, like as you watched other conferences and things like that, or even had your own experiences, like there are ways in which I think we would tend to think that you kind of over-engineer sections of a conference that don't need to be so over-engineered, and then there are areas of a conference that you tend to just ignore, especially if you're kind of new to conference planning or event planning. Do you have examples of that, or what are your thoughts around the idea of like areas people over-engineer and areas that they don't invest enough in?
I think this goes back to there being no rules. A lot of new conferences, especially or returning conferences, they think they have to stick to the same format all the time, and they have to focus only on the speakers and the technical aspect of the conference, which is insanely important. But that's the obvious part, and that's what people expect. You're not teaching them anything by letting them know that there will be, 29 speakers or breakouts or whatever it could be. Like, that's great. That helps them sell the ticket to their job, to pay for them to come. But that's all obvious stuff. I think that's posted about or talked about a little too much. And I think people are wondering why they should go to your conference over whatever other conferences throughout the year, Next.js, Render ATL, like all of these other amazing experiences throughout the US, specifically for us. So making sure to let people know why you're different, why it would be special. We lay very heavily into Miami, into the location. It's a vacation spot. We know that. We understand that a lot of people haven't been to Miami. We want to create a conference and a vacation for them. A lot of misses are posting about where your after party is, pictures of that after party, programming for that after party or the opening party. Or that's why we added on more community events, because we heard everybody saying like, we want to do more community events. So we weren't focused on that. We were maybe too focused on other areas that we thought people would want, and just opening up our ears and listening and understanding that it's not about only the technical aspect. Honestly, that is like it is the obvious aspect. Focus on what makes your conference special. What city is it hosted in? What is that city known for? What's the historical aspects of your city that could be extremely interesting to your attendees? Like, we're all nerds. Like, we all are learning. Like, we want to know these things. We want to have these experiences. So yeah, I think over-engineering, more so overthinking that you need to lay into technical aspects versus the experience that the attendee is going to get out of it.
Yeah, and kind of in that same vein, like, what was something that was really surprising or shocking the first time you were involved in a big event like this? And what do you see when you're kind of mentoring other people like me who are doing this the first time that were like, oh, I didn't expect that to be part of the process or to be that way?
There's like 10 times more to-dos than you ever expect there to be.
I I feel that right now.
No, there's just so much. Just give yourself a lot of breathing room with like your time, your energy, planning as much as you can, as far out as you can, because 2 weeks out from the conference, that's when everything comes at you. Also understanding like you need to always feel inviting, like even if you're tired and you're stressed out, understanding that nobody knows that and they're excited and happy, and just like always keeping a smile on your face. Sometimes it can be hard, especially when you're actually just like neutral and you want to like drop your face, but then like people are so used to you smiling and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, I'm just taking a
I'm just
moment.
tired. I'm a human.
But yeah, there's the energy consumption, definitely. I don't know if it's not really a surprise. Of course, you're expecting to be tired, but I think that level of exhaustion is very surprising. So are pre-executing as much as you possibly can, down to like something Michelle and I did at her house. Like she has all the materials like delivered to her house. So I went over there and we just unpackaged everything, like took the plastic off of things, took the plastic off of cups or whatever it could be. Just one less thing that you have to touch later at the conference, that you have to unpack, that you have to cut open. It makes a huge difference, like, of conserving your energy when you're actually executing the conference itself.
Yeah, and about you guys, with your smiles on site, I was kind of blown away how calm you guys seemed and happy, and you were enjoying the time. I thought you were going to be running around like chickens with your heads cut off, so it was really cool to see you guys at least pretending. Maybe that was just a ruse, but it was very cool.
Well, we're lucky this is our 5 years in, so we've got a little bit better grasp on the workload. I honestly think this was the chillest I've ever been at a React Miami in 5 years. And Michelle mentioned to me that like Gabe came up to her, our founder and our boss, and he came up to her and was like, "Are you good? Like you seem like really chill." And she's like, "I don't have to do anything. Like this is great. Everything's just flowing." So yeah, it was amazing last year. Just plan on iterating on that and doing it again.
Just a couple of questions as we close here. Maybe this could be a quick one, or you can rant if you want to, but what's a trend in tech events that you're excited about, and what's a trend you wish would kind of go away?
I feel like I'm going to get in trouble. I don't know.
Hot take.
A trend in tech events that I wish would go away. I think that meetups are overrated. Like technical meetups are overrated in a certain respect. They think that the outcome of the meetup should just be that the meetup happened. There's nothing that they're planning of like what the attendees should take away from it. And I don't mean like technical knowledge, but a feeling that they leave with. Like I have pretty terrible social anxiety, and you wouldn't guess it. Years of therapy, thank God. But I walked into a meetup one day, like the other day. This was pretty recent, and all the lights were on. There was no music playing. I didn't know where I could get a drink, and by a drink I mean like a soda or something to do with my hands. I didn't recognize anybody. There was nobody greeting me at the door. I didn't know what the flow was going to look like, and it scared the crap out of me. Like immediately, like my hands are shaking. I'm sweating a little bit. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And the first thing I'm thinking is like, how do I leave without it being weird? So I think there's a lot of meetups happening just to say it was a meetup and that they did it and to check a box or something, but greeting somebody at the door, like having somebody, hey, welcome. Here's what we're doing today, even like a handout, so that they can read it if they're feeling overwhelmed in the moment. Okay, here's some, like, now I know what we're doing, like the flow of the day, the flow of the evening. One thing that I try to do always at every time I like know somebody's new to the space is I walk them over to somebody I know and I'm like, hey, I just met, Sunil, like Sunil, meet Adam, like, you guys both do XYZ. And then they have a connection, they're starting a conversation. They have been introduced to the space properly and they know what to get out of it. And they walk away knowing like, oh, Adam's my friend now. Like Adam, like we connected on Twitter. Like that's a win for me. So I think one thing that I don't like to see is just like meetups happening or not workshops. Workshops I feel like are a little bit better, but like meetups happening just to say you did a meetup and not thinking about the experience throughout.
Yeah, no, that's a great take. And the reality is like it's easy just to want the social cred for like doing a meetup, but if it comes at the expense of your attendees, then like what are you doing?
Well, and it's not going to last. There's a great meetup in Miami. It's called Hack Night. It's held by one of our speakers from last year, Serge. He does it 2 days a week. He does these meetups, and it's just like co-working with everybody. But when you walk in, he greets you, he smiles, he says like, come sit down. And then like when the majority of the group gets there, he stands up and he has like a question for you of like, that's non-technical. So it could be like, what's your hobby that you got into recently? And then the other question is, what are you building tonight? And he specifically says, I don't want your job title. I don't want your company name. I just want you to say your name. What are you building here with us tonight? And what is what hobby did you recently get into? And it's like 2 minutes, 60 seconds each person. And then you get to know everybody in the room. And then you sit down, he puts on some nice music. And then towards the end of the night, you can demo what you built if you feel like it. And it's just an easy flow. And he does it twice a week. And it's so successful.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners today?
If you want to start a conference, shoot me a DM. If you need advice, shoot me a DM. On Twitter,
she's very helpful with advice.
On Twitter, it's Beckalytics. I should have just done my name, huh? Come to the.
We'll make sure to include a link below.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's right here. I don't know. It's here.
There we go. I feel like in the spirit of everything you just shared too, we need to ask like, what are your things you're into? What are your hobbies you're into? Because I know some of them and they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I have no lack of hobbies. This is like Michelle like makes fun. It's just like single female in her 30s with no kids. So I get to do whatever I want. So I play hockey, I rock climb. I was learning Japanese for a few years. I surf. I'm looking around my house right now. Huge into Lord of the Rings. I play Dungeons and Dragons every Monday with my friends in tech, which is super fun. I travel a lot. I mean, I say yes to everything, so I'm lucky enough to be able to have the opportunity to do that. But yeah, I guess that sums me up pretty well.
Yeah, and huge sports fans too. I always get super jealous when I'm watching you and your sister or friends going like watch Messi play in Miami, and I almost got to go this year and I had to come back early, which was so sad. But it's such a good follow too on Twitter for anyone. She's always posting awesome stuff that she's up to. So, Becky, thanks so much for coming on. It was a joy to get to kind of have this conversation with you personally. I know Christina already has had a similar conversation. You've been a real guide to her, and I've kind of gotten the secondhand effects of that. But to hear you actually craft the way you're thinking through all this was super helpful for me, and I know it's super helpful for everyone listening as well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me, and I hope to see you guys in Miami again.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be there.
Well, thanks everyone for listening again to another episode of Building Forward. It's our intention to really help be a guide, and a lot of that is by bringing on really good guides like Rebecca. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. I'll see you later.